A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, so cheers. Now, ever since I was a kid, I absolutely fell in love with the Indiana Jones franchise after watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. I remember seeing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom at the cinema, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, again, just a fantastic trilogy of movies. When I heard that they were going to make a fourth Indiana Jones film, I got really excited, and then I saw it. And the first time I saw Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I was hugely disappointed. However, I recently rewatched it and actually thought it was a pretty decent film. It was fun. Sure, it was not as good as the original trilogy, but nothing like that is ever going to hold up. And then there was the fifth one, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which again, I thought was fun. I enjoyed it. It was really good, in my opinion. I know people are going to differ on that. Now, there have been a lot of other Indiana Jones stuff out there, video games, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, an old Lucasfilm point-and-click adventure. It was one of my favorite games back in the day. It was so cool. There's a new Indiana Jones video game coming out this year, I believe. There have been comic books. I haven't read any of them. And there have been novels. And I've read a couple of the older Indiana Jones novels back in the day, and they were fun and whatnot. And then an Indiana Jones novel from 2009 popped up on my kind of Amazon thing where they go, here's some books that you might enjoy reading because you buy a whole lot of shit from us that you never read. So I had a look at the cover. They say never judge a book by its cover. Bullshit. Always judge a book by its cover. Really important. And then I noticed that this book was written by Steve Perry. Steve Perry, of course, wrote Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, which I've read and reviewed on this channel. Fantastic book. But Steve Perry was also a writer on Batman the Animated Series. So I picked up the book and thought, you know what? Let's give this one a go in 2025. So I'm reviewing Indiana Jones and the Army of the Dead. Now, the cover is brilliant. I absolutely love this cover. I think it captures the spirit of the novel, which is good and is bad. This is going to be a spoiler-filled review, but for those of you that don't want the book spoiled, just know that Indy and his friend Mac, the character you see at the beginning of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull that have been taken by the Russians. Indy and Mac are in Haiti looking for a pearl known as the Heart of Darkness. They are being pursued by three different factions. The Germans, of course, the Japanese, and a voodoo witch doctor gentleman called Bookman. Sorry about that. My cat is currently in his litter box. He's a bit sick these days. Ever since we came back from vacation, he's been acting very funny and we don't know what's wrong with him. Anyway, back to the book. So they're looking for this pearl. They're being pursued by three factions. There is like jungle adventure. There are zombies. And there's a whole lot of kind of intrigue and whatnot going on. So that's the basic plot. Did I enjoy it? It was okay. As far as an Indiana Jones story goes, it kind of lacked something, which I will talk about in the spoiler-filled part of this review. But as an adventure novel, it did its part. It wasn't the greatest Indiana Jones book I've ever read. Certainly wasn't the worst. I forget the title, but that was the one with Indiana Jones and Stonehenge. Was just utter garbage. But if you want to switch to another video and not have this spoiled because you're going to go out and read it yourself, do that right now. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy the next episode of
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Okay, so the book jumps right in with Indian Mac already in Haiti. Over the course of the book, we do find out that this is actually set after the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but before Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So Indian Mac are in Haiti. They're in this small town, and they're trying to get information on this artifact known as the Heart of Darkness. The information is, or they're being followed as they get this information, and they're being tracked by this guy who is selling his information to a German soldier called Gruber and a supposedly Chinese but is actually Japanese soldier called Yamada. Now, Gruber wants this pearl for Hitler. Yamada wants this pearl for the glory of the Japanese Empire. Rio, Daddy's busy. Come here. Come here. All right. Please ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So Indy and Mac find a guide, this woman called Maria, and she leads them to this guy called Batiste, and Batiste and his men agree to take Indy and Mac to this island where this artifact has supposedly been hidden. Gruber and Yamada get this information, and they head to the island as well. Their plans, they're kind of separate. Their plans are to let the American and the Englishman find the artifact, and then they're going to go in there and kill them. So they get to this island. It's this almost uninhabited jungle. There's like one little village outpost there where they collect supplies and things like that. And then they trek into the jungle on their way to this legendary spot where this pearl is supposed to be. The Germans and the Japanese are also on the island, and they are trailing Indy. At the same time, this powerful voodoo priest, who is actually the great uncle of Marie, who is also like a good voodoo priestess, he gets wind of what is happening, and he sends some of his zombies to kind of track them. Now, a majority of this book, I would say 90% of this book, is just Indy, Mac, Batiste, Marie, and the other guides slogging it through the jungle. That's it. The zombies occasionally attack the Germans and the Japanese, and they don't know what's going on. And all of the descriptions, or all of the dangers, are things like an overflowing river, rainstorm, a typhoon, and all this kind of stuff. When you think about Indiana Jones, you think about temples and traps and things like that. There is none of that in this book. It's just them walking through a jungle, climbing up a cliff, crossing a river, going over a gorge. It gets very boring in the middle of this book, I will admit that. And then Bookman tries to ascertain what they are looking for from Marie. He kind of inhabits her body. He has this power where he can jump into people, he can ride people, he can commune with spirits. And then he discovers this Heart of Darkness, and he wants it for himself, but he doesn't really know how he's going to get it. His zombies have been slowly decimating the Japanese and the Germans. They managed to kidnap one German soldier and one Japanese soldier, and Bookman puts them under his sway so that they can be spies for him. And Indy and his crew finally get to this sacred clearing in the middle of this island, and they start to dig, and they find this box, and in the box is a jar, and in the jar is this pearl, and when they take the pearl out, it's wrapped in silk, and they unwrap it, and the energy is just phenomenal. Marie kind of goes into catatonic shock. Bookman immediately knows what it is, and he immediately knows that he needs it to become all-powerful. While this is happening, he's communing with different lower, or spirits, I guess, that give him different powers and abilities. So they get this pearl, and they're kind of hightailing it out of there, and then they discover that the Japanese and the Germans are on their tail, so they're like, what do we do? We've got to get here. There's a typhoon coming. The zombies are attacking people. Eventually, they kind of make this camp, and while they're in the camp, Bookman comes with the zombies. He's losing a lot of his power because he's like 200 years old, and he can't keep this up forever. And he can't stick around, so he tells the zombies, kill them all, bring me Indy, Mac, and Marie alive, but everyone else can die. Ultimately, everyone does die to zombie attacks, but they work out if you cut off the zombie's head or you shoot the zombie in the head, that's how you kill them, which they do, and the three of them end up getting away. They're trying to head back to their boat, but it all gets cut off, and they run afoul of the zombies who have been told to bring them in alive. By the way, these zombies can talk and stuff, so it's really weird. But while they're trying to escape, they decide the only way to get away from everyone is to jump in this underground river. So they tie themselves together and they jump in the river, but as the river's flowing down, this is about the only really exciting Indiana Jones cinematic moment in this whole book. As they're going down this river, the rope snaps and Marie gets kind of tossed to the side. Bookman gets the zombies to jump in the river because they don't need to breathe, and the zombies follow them. Indy and Mac go over this waterfall out into the ocean. They get back on the beach, and the zombies come clambering up, holding rocks to weigh themselves down so they can walk underwater, and they get captured. Marie also gets captured and taken back to Bookman, who is on this plantation. And he's going to sacrifice her, but he needs the pearl, and he needs Indy and Mac because they're going to be sacrifices too. Indy and Mac get taken to this plantation where this ritual is going to take place at night, and they kind of manage to get away from the zombie, and they have this plan, but Mac gets captured. Indy basically says, well, listen, you let her go, I'll give you the pearl. Bookman realizes what's going on. He lets Marie go, but she gets immediately captured again, so there's no fucking point to that. Mac gets captured, and now they're all tied up. Gruber, the German, and Yamada have also been captured, and they're tied up, but Yamada has a knife, and while this is going on, he manages to flick the knife to Indy. Indy cuts his bonds, gets Mac free, gets Marie free, frees Yamada and Gruber, who have been kind of working together after these zombie attacks, and they end up managing to foil this ritual that Bookman is doing, and during the ensuing fight, Indy uses his whip to kind of choke out Bookman, and they manage to get away. Yamada and Gruber flee. They flee back to their boat, but on the boat is zombies that end up killing them. These zombies are now under the control of Marie, who took the power of the pearl kind of into herself, and she is now the most powerful voodoo priestess. Indy and Marie have had this like love relationship thing where they're attracted to each other, and so at the end of the book you get the hint that they slept together. Indy was contemplating staying in Haiti with her, but she ultimately says you've got to leave, and she gifts him the Heart of Darkness to put in a museum because it no longer has any power. She took all that power away, and that's it. That's where the book ends. Now, Usually I will tell you there are a lot of nuances that I left out of this. There were none. This is basically what happens. Maybe I got the order a little bit wrong, and I didn't talk about the zombie building a ladder up a cliff and then falling down and breaking its back, but still trying to climb up the cliff because they're zombies. Like, who fucking cares? But that is ultimately Indiana Jones and the Army of the Dead. Was Indiana Jones in this book? Yes. Was there an Army of the Dead? Yes. The title doesn't lie. That's a good thing. So, there you have it. Am I going to read more Indiana Jones novels in the future? Yeah, of course. I love Indiana Jones. One of my favorite characters, one of my favorite film series. Even the Young Indiana Jones TV show was brilliant. I enjoyed every freaking minute of that. That was fun. That was just good, stupid, adolescent fun. But there's nothing else to say. Like that's the whole story. Now, sure, it doesn't have a lot of kind of literary pieces that stand out. The writing it's okay. It's not great literature, but again, it's an Indiana Jones book. What do you expect? Steve Perry's a very talented writer. I think there could have been more done, like just maybe a voodoo temple or a shrine or something with some sort of a trap. But it's just like a clearing in a jungle, and then they dig a hole, and then they dig another hole, and then they dig another hole, and then they get lucky and find it. Like it's lame. The whole part of that book, like that whole part of the book was lame. So whatever. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you have any book recommendations, you can leave them, but I am trying not to order any new books until I've cleared out some of this collection, which I've actually not ordered anything for almost an entire month, which is actually really fucking good for me. Leave a suggestion. If it's in my collection, I will definitely get around to reading it and reviewing it for you little Plaguelandians. Other than that, everybody, please stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. But most importantly, read a fucking book, people.